test. And question 20 says, according to figure 1, which statement best describes the change in the mean self-ratings of the volunteers after they were asked to analyze and explain a policy? So here we're being asked about figure 1. We're asked some specific things, basically describing the change. Before we solve this, let's go up to the graph to figure 1 and basically see if we can make sense of what's going on in it. So figure 1 is measuring volunteers' mean self-ratings for understanding a policy. So a self-rating is basically your own opinion of yourself, right? And how well you understand a policy. We look on the y-axis, we know that we start from 1 to 7. This tells us that the mean self-rating is on a scale of 1 to 7, 7 equal greater understanding. So 1 is basically if you say, hey, I really don't understand this at all. 7 is like, yeah, I understand this pretty well. Then we have the task. So we have two different tasks that I mentioned. The first one is to analyze and explain a policy. The second one is to list reasons for or against that policy. And then we have these gray columns, right? This is before the task. And then we have the dark columns, this is after the task. So this is basically going to measure what are people's opinions of their own understanding before they do this task and then after they do this task. So now let's go back and just clarify what is the question asking. It's asking, we want to describe the change in the mean self-ratings. Okay, so basically the overall change in the graph for volunteers who are asked to analyze and explain a policy. Self-rating change, right, over time. So before the task, they give a self-rating of 4. So basically they have a 4 level of understanding of this passage. But then after they do this task, they find that it brings it down to like 3.5. So basically what's happening is that people are reporting that they understand something less after they do the task. So that's the overall change, that they have less confidence in their own understanding of the task. So if we come down here, we'll look for an answer choice that matches that. A says that they become more extreme in their positions on the policy. And that's not really what we have. It's not measuring the extremity, of people's positions. But we're also seeing that it's measuring understanding, so they're not becoming more extreme. If anything, they're becoming less extreme because they feel less confident in their understanding. But even so, just because they're simply not measuring how extreme people's beliefs are, we can get rid of that. B says they become more reluctant to justify a particular viewpoint. So this is like, basically how willing are you to defend your ideas. And the graph, again, the figure doesn't measure this at all. So I don't think this is a strong answer choice because we can't have any evidence based on figure 1 because it's not measuring this reluctance or eagerness to justify your position. Let's get rid of B. C says they become less confident in their understanding of the policy. That's exactly what we found, right? We're measuring in figure 1 confidence in your understanding, and we see that it dips from 4 to about 3.5 after the task. So we can get rid of C. Then we have D, which says they became less interested in the policy. Sorry, not get rid of C, keep C. Then D says they became less interested in the policy. And this can't work because the figure doesn't measure people's interest in the policy. Instead, it measures, like we said, their confidence in their understanding. So for that reason, I think we can get rid of D. And that's going to leave us with answer choice C as our correct answer for question number 20.